When were you born?
November 6th, 1984.
Oh, so you're a Scorpio.
Scorpio, as I like to say.
Oh, your birthday's coming in only 20 days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. So, what type of upbringing did you have? You know what I mean? Because you're a Christian, you know what I mean? So we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But your parents?
So Filipino parents. I was raised Catholic. Like, I did the whole shebang. I went to catechism. Even though, I don't know why.
Where were you born? Sorry.
Where or when?
Where?
Oh, Stockton, California.
Stockton,
yeah,
okay.
so Northern California. So, even, like, it was weird. I was raised Catholic, but they sent me to a Christian school, which is, like, way different, you know? I mean, it's religion, it's all the same.
I did Christian thing.
Yeah, but I was raised Catholic. I went to catechism. I did my first communion and all that shit in the Catholic stuff. And I went to church every Sunday, you know, with my family and on holidays and whatnot. But as I got older, and I could make my own decisions for myself, and my mother respected the fact that I didn't want to go to church anymore. I was like, I don't want to fucking go to church.
How old was that?
When I was like 16, 17, you know? Because what made me kind of go against religion was in my school. And you hear about this shit in the Catholic Church, but I went to a Christian school, but they had the chapel and the church connected to the school where we would do like our Wednesday chapel days while you're in school. And then they also had youth group, like a youth group at night. So like they had like a youth pastor and everything. And there was this youth pastor who, he was 26 or 27 at the time. His wife was gorgeous, okay? I have to mention this tidbit of info. Wife was gorgeous. And by the time I got into high school, all the boys that were younger than me in junior high, when I was in the 8th grade, they were in the 7th grade, so they were like 11, 12, okay? Came forward and said that they had a sleepover with the youth pastor, and he molested them. And when he ended up getting prison time, I think he's actually out now, surprisingly, and still alive. But anyways, he did prison time, but in his defense, one of the things that he said in his defense was that he was also molested. Because you know what happens when you're an abuser, usually the abuser has also been abused. So he, explained how, like, yeah, I was molested when I was a little boy as well, and then he did the same thing to my friends when we were in junior high, and it didn't come out till high school. And that incident sparked up so much controversy in my town with that school, not with the school, but with the church, not the school, excuse me, the church. And then more stuff started coming into light, like the other youth pastor, later on, I found out that he had a shit ton of porn that he was like indebted to or something weird. Like he spent a lot of money on pornography. And then another church intern had gotten in trouble with oral copulation, is the way they termed it in the papers, with a minor. And then another church intern who I was friends with sexually assaulted a minor as well. So all these different weird things, fucked up things were happening with the church. And I used to go to the youth group because I thought that I needed to, like, praise God, whatever. And then when all of these things started happening, I just completely changed my outlook on religion. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And then, I got older and
That's at what age did you see that?
This was when I was 15.
15. Old enough to understand.
Yeah, old enough to understand. And I was like, what the fuck? I stopped going to youth group. I stopped doing all that church shit. And then, but like I said, my mother raised me. I keep saying my mother. My parents are still married to this day.
I'm curious about that.
My parents are still married to this day. They've been married 36 years. 36 years as of July, which is celebrated their 36th anniversary. So I didn't come from a broken home or anything. However, my mother kind of wore the pants in the household. So like,
you might wear the pants in your household.
Sure do, No.
Yeah, that's true. I see that.
So my mother kind of like, usually when you go to prom, it's usually the dad that's like, who's the guy and who's the boyfriend. But he never really partook in any of that shit. It was mostly my mother, and my mother raised me in a very open-minded household. I was a mama's bitch. I was a mama's girl.
My sister, rare.
Very
rare, right?
Very rare. I had daddy issues, like, massively because of the reason why my father didn't really take initiative to, you know, I can't say not be a part of my life because he was a part of my life, but I leaned more towards my mother. I got along with my mother. I told my mother everything. Even when I got into porn, my entire family supported me, you know? So that's very rare coming from Filipino, Catholic, born and raised, you know what I mean? So
Both Filipino from the Philippines, both of them?
yeah, my mother is mixed. She's Castilian, Spanish, Scottish, and Filipino, and then my dad is just full Filipino. So technically mostly Filipino, you know. But yeah, born in the Philippines.
I have a little philosophy on the Philippines if you want to hear it.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I have a tattoo on my arm,
Oh, okay.
right? You see the happy face?
Yeah.
But before that, I had taken a hanger, heated up red hot, and burnt the girl's name into my arm in front of Jim South.
Oh, wow.
He watched the flames and the skin burn.
Mm-hmm.
She was Filipino.
Oh my God.
So, you know, the Filipino had me interested.
Oh shit. Okay.
I came up with this philosophy that a lot of times the Filipinos were kind of very artistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just have the arts in them, right? It's pretty prominent. But if you, because I went to the Philippines numerous times.
Nice. Okay.
15 times. I shot movies in the Philippines.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
You know. If you know where the Philippines is, or I guess you know where it is, it's the gateway into Asia,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my philosophy came to myself that everybody who had wild blood in them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can't jump on a ship way back in
Yeah.
1300s, the 1400s, 1500s, and just, oh yeah, I'm going to go out for a boat ride.
Yeah.
You know, no, you're traveling around the world. You don't have a compass. You don't have a phone. You don't have any type of communication. So when you go out, you might not be coming back. So that type of blood, that type of person is an adventure, crazy, hot-blooded. It's got to be like a real serious specimen of humanity, right? Because you can't be a punk, I don't think. You know, maybe a couple punks being protected by the killers. But you get on that ship and you roll around the world. And so right there, the gateway to Asia, which had silk and whatever else they had going on, was stopping the Philippines. And fuck all the girls. Right?
Yeah.
Which would give that country such a mixture of wild blood. You know, I mean, you know, I don't know if you know, but Japan, China, India, I think even some Polynesian, maybe that's Polynesia, Spain, you know, inhabited the Philippines.
Yes.
Right? And the reason it's named the Philippines, you know why?
Okay, you got me on that one. I don't know. That's horrible in Filipino. I don't even know why.
Because Magellan, you know Magellan?
Oh, Magellan. Yeah.
Came from Spain to the Philippines.
He conquered the Philippines. Yeah.
No, he didn't conquer. He came to the Philippines in 15 something, I'm pretty sure. You know, and he spreading Christianity into Manila, right? He saw the people were very nice, very sweet. It was all good. So I think that he was put off guard. You know, because you don't come to somebody's country
Yeah.
without, you know, all your army ready to kill.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're going to have to kill some people.
Right.
And take the gold, take the girls, you know, and implement your religion. That's the way it is. So whoever doesn't think it is, that's the way it is. You got to kill, you got to rape. That's it.
Yeah.
Take everybody's shit, which everybody does. So then he goes down to Cebu. And there's a general there named Lapu-Lapu. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
And he says, fuck you. And he kills Magellan.
Oh my God.
He
Okay.
wipes him out. Right? And so, you know, that's the great explorer, Magellan, the Straits of Magellan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how did he get off on, you know, Magellan? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah.
Think about the consequences of that news getting to who? King Philip of Spain. So,
I'm getting a history lesson right now. I love it.
King Philip says, or whatever, is not very happy, obviously. He killed his main explorer, his main religion infuser, and it took him 30 years to get back to the Philippines. But they came back, and they colonized them, and they named it after King Philip.
Oh, that's where the name comes from. Wow. Wow.
Philippines.
The Philippines.
And my name is Philip. By the
That's
way.
right. Yeah.
No, I'm from Spain.
Yeah.
But any case, that's strange, right?
Yeah.
But back to the philosophy, because I had to find out why I was so into this girl, why I like Filipinos.
Yeah.
And I went out with a lot of Filipino girls here and there, and always I would fuck them the first night. They just were hot, horny.
Yeah.
They wanted to get down.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like some kind of game. It was just the way it is, the way it was, the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget that girl or Billy. You know, when I'm 5 years old or 6, or the girl in Lake Havasu, who I mounted for 4 hours in the moonlight water, or my girl that I burnt on my arm named Amy.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I figured that's what I came up with. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds very reasonable.
Right.
Sounds kind of on point, actually.
The wild blood of all those sailors into the people.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what it was. That's what I believe. You know, which gave so much creativity and so, you know, so much spirit to the people, I think.
It's interesting that you mentioned the whole part about like fucking them the first night, because a lot of women, back to what we were talking about previously about how some women are like afraid of their sexuality, like, oh, I can't fuck this guy on the first date because he'll think I'm a slut, or you know, I have to wait till the third or fourth date or whatever. And I told you how I hooked up with that guy from Tinder who came over, and he's like, this is kind of weird. I'm like, why is it weird? He's like, because normally I have to wine and dine some girls. I have never just gone over to a girl's house just to have sex with. And I'm like, yo, I'm not trying to go out with you, dude. You know what I mean?
Not even like you.
Yeah, like don't even talk, you know? So it's like interesting that you say that, because when my boyfriend, when we hung out the first night, I had plans to go see the new Avengers movie. This was like a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago. And I was like, fuck, and he like was busy with something and didn't get out until late, so we only had a couple of hours to like hang out. So we're hanging out at this speakeasy right by my house, and I'm thinking, because
a bar?
Yeah, it's like a bar where you like enter through a bedroom. It's like really cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a really super like kind of swanky little joint.
Underground.
Yeah, I love it. And so
sneaky 5-year-old.
Yeah. Yep. And logistics is key for me when it comes to like hooking up with anybody, right? Like the guy that I picked, like grabbed his ass, and I was like, I live down the street. I can walk to my house from this bar. So I'm trying to like butter up this, we're having a good conversation. I'm thinking my friend's coming to pick me up in like half an hour. I'm like, hey, you wanna head back? So I'm like, I have every intention to go home and fuck this guy. I don't give a fuck if it's a quickie, because I know my friend's coming in half an hour. So I'm like, well, let's take a walk. So we walk back.
Seductress.
Yeah, we walk back to my house, and my friend is 20 minutes early. Like, I'm like, oh, I have like, you know, some time to kill. He's right there parked out front. I'm like, son of a bitch. So, like, you know, I'm like, damn, he's kind of early. And I'm like trying to keep my cool, not making him think anything. So I'm like, I kiss him goodnight, because I want him to know, like, we're not done here. Like, we're going to hang out again after this. And so every time we joke about that first night, he's like, I actually kind of like the way things happen that way, because when the way you kissed me, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, I can't wait till, you know, the anticipation of the next night. Because we didn't see each other for another week. Because, like, I think I left town or he left town or something. I can't remember. So from the first night that we hung out, I was trying to fuck him. I was like, we're gonna do this. But then I was like, fuck, my friend's already here, son of a bitch. So I kissed him goodnight, and then I didn't see him for another week. And then that week passed. That's when he fucked me until 5 in the morning, like 4 times. So I'm like, God damn, we're worth the wait right there, you know what I mean? So that's interesting.
Sometimes it trips me out, because, you know, I heard the idea of what the girls think sometimes. Like, if you orgasm, like, you know, 3 or 4 times, or, you know, that the guy did a great job, you did a great job, and it's a happy symphony of unionization.
Yeah.
But what happens if the guy just had sex with you, or orgasm 1, but he screwed you for 7 or 8 hours? Would that still be the same?
I feel like it would be, wouldn't it? Because it's like, God damn, this guy can fucking hang for this fucking long, holy shit. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like on the same level, because, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, back to, you know, I'm trying to get this. What did your parents do for a living?
So my dad, he would work for several different companies. I mean, at one point he worked for a computer company where he built computers, like the motherboards and all this kind of stuff. And then now he kind of works for like the corporate office of Home Depot. And so he kind of switched jobs every now and again. When I was growing up, he would do different things.
Does he get bored? I mean, because you get bored.
I mean, it seems like it, right? Like now that you put it that way, I'm like, maybe he just kept getting bored. I don't even fucking know. My mother, however, interestingly, not even interestingly, because what Filipino woman do you not know is not a nurse, right? So my mom, for like 25, almost 30 years, she was an OB nurse, an obstetrical nurse, so she helped deliver babies.
Wow.
So she worked at the county hospital helping deliver babies. Then after she put in, I think 30 years, because you can finally officially retire with a company, right, when it's been like a certain amount of time, she retired from that hospital. Now she works for the first ever of its kind in the state of California. It's like a hospital for the criminally insane, or the criminally, what's the word, people that are incarcerated, that are like dying or sick. Because instead of throwing them,
like a hospice for the
yeah, almost basically, but it's a jail technically. Mm-hmm. And instead of like if you're criminally insane, instead of throwing, and you're incarcerated, instead of throwing you with the civilians that are crazy
and strong and
yeah, they're putting you in a specific hospital that's a jail for those that belong in there, right? So my mother went from delivering babies to working with these people that are kind of nutty or sick and dying.
But some are probably real nice.
Oh no, you know what's interesting? So you remember the movie Casino? Mm-hmm. So the guy of which who De Niro is kind of based on or whatever. Am I thinking of the right movie? Oh my god, there's so many. I'm trying to remember if that's the one. Because I know
De Niro was in there.
But there's a lot of gangster movies with De Niro, so I'm trying to remember. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But anyways,
Joe Pesci and Robert.
Right, there's this gangster.
Sharon Stone.
Yes, there was a gangster that was in my mother's hospital. I guess I can talk about it now because he died. He died recently. He would talk to my mom, and like, you know, they're not supposed to know each other on a first name basis, but he saw her name tag, so he would say her name, and he would be like, you know, just make small talk, and he would share with her stories from back in the day, like, you know, when we had a wife that we were sick of, we would just get rid of her and then get a new girlfriend. And my mom was like, okay, you know, like, I would just hear, and she would share with me these stories because she's not allowed to have conversations. She's only allowed to listen. So he would just talk about, like, sometimes I open my eyes and I wake up in this cold cell after having a dream of being in my penthouse in the casino, and then, you know, and he would just share with her all these wild stories of like how, yeah, we would just fucking pop people and that's how we would take care of business. And my mom was like, okay. And so my mom would come to me with jokes like, hey, if you ever have a problem with a boyfriend, I've got a guy, you know. But he died. He I think he stopped taking his medication because he's like, I just want to just die. Like, I don't want to be continuing my.
You can't be up and then drop down.
Yeah. But so that's where she works now, delivering babies, and now works with all these people. And she's kind of technically a pioneer because this is like the first ever of its kind that opened in the state of California. So, and she likes her job. She loves it. So now she'll have 2 retirements. That was her whole plan. So she was smart. Retired from the first hospital, and then now she's going to stay at this hospital until it's time for her to retire, and then she'll be collecting 2, you know, things from 2 different companies. So.
So you're very tight with her.
Very tight with her. Me and my mother are very close. Mm-hmm.
And so you said she was already a cool girl, a cool mom.
Well, here's the funny part about my mother. She's also a Scorpio, okay? And she's the only girl, 3 brothers. She's got 3 brothers. And when she was living in the Philippines, my grandmother, my mother's mom, she came to America, moved to the States, when my mom was like 15 or 16. So she left her when my mother was a teenager. So my mother was being raised by, like, you know, her aunts and stuff, and my uncle would tell me stories. Obviously, when I was old enough to understand, he would tell me stories about, like, you know how many guys I had to kick out of your mom's bedroom when we were growing up? And then I heard stories about how my mom almost like ran away with this other dude and all this shit 'cause she was tired of being like, you know, like trapped, you know. All these different wild fucking stories, man. And then, yeah, my uncle would tell me these things about my mother being a slut, basically, and not in those words, but, you know, like, yeah, because it was her older brother, like, how many boys I had to, I'm like, mother. And my mother's always been very, I told you, like, very open-minded sexually. Like, I remember when I I bought my first house actually in Woodland Hills, like many years back in 2006. She was helping. She was helping me move. Yeah, you know, business was great back then. She was helping me move, and I had this toy box of like all my dildos and stuff. And I remember my mom I'm like, don't open that, and she opened it and pulls out this dildo that's like this big, and she looks at me and she goes, "That's really not that big." And I'm like, "Ma, like, mother, you're giving me like mental images of dad and this disgusting. Stop." You know, like, you know what I mean? But she just whipped it out. She's like, "It's really not that big." I'm like, "Oh my god." So my mother and I have a very close, tight relationship, and I can, you know, talk to her about anything, and you know, it's fun. We can make jokes about certain things, and it's funny.
Now we know where you get your wildness from.
That's what I'm saying. And she's a Scorpio as well. We're only 4 days apart. She was born November 2nd. I was born November 6th, and I remember when she was pregnant with me, everybody was saying like, "Oh, what if she's born on your birthday? It'd be great if you guys shared a birthday." But then I ended up coming 4 days after her birthday. So
you're really tight with her because you wanted to be the same birthday. Huh?
Yeah.
So then your father, you have daddy issues because he wasn't giving you the love you needed?
I mean, like, in a way, yeah, in a sense, yes. Like, there was a period in my life where my father never really told me that he loved me out loud, you know. He was never really, like, we lived together, but he was never really there, if that makes any sense, because my mother was the one that controlled everything. You know, like, okay, she's going to prom, she's going to homecoming, she's doing this, she's doing that. My dad didn't really have a say in anything. He didn't really take initiative to be like, yeah, I'm your father, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, when I was younger, yeah, he would help me with my science projects and stuff like that, but like, when I got older, he wasn't really, you know. My sister was more of a daddy's girl, like, straight up. Me and my sister are two different people, and I'm very close with my sister as well, but growing up, she was straight up daddy's girl, and I was a mama's bitch. You know, like, I got along with my mom really well, she got along with my father, which coincidentally, I look more like my mother, and my sister looks more like my dad, so it's kind of funny. Like,
well, I hear those stories that when you were near somebody more, you start looking like him.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when you see pictures of my mother when she was younger,
it's pretty.
You'd be like, you look like your mom.
She hot?
She was hot, yeah.
And really hot.
Yeah, I'll just show you a picture.
Not just hot, but hot. You can tell that girl's hot, but you don't really know until you test the waters.
Yeah.
You know?
So
the goods, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So like, and then even when I moved away from home and would talk to my family, like my father didn't really kind of. I mean, we're different now. We're much closer now. But like, you know, growing up, that's the ongoing joke, right? Like, I have daddy issues because my father didn't really show me the kind of love that I needed as a father, you know. And I was his firstborn, so I feel like maybe he didn't really know what to do as I was growing up. And then when my sister was born, I think that's why they're so close, because my father felt like, okay, well, I can kind of show the love that I should have shown you to her, but here I am going away to college and all this other shit, so it was just kind of, you know. But we're much closer now than we were back then. Like, back then I hated him. I wanted my parents to get divorced. I was like, can I just get divorced already? Like, it was very weird. It wasn't bad.
Why love? You needed the love.
Yeah, like, it was just one of those things where I didn't feel close to him. I didn't feel close to him at all, that I didn't care if they divorced, you know? And every time they would fight, not that I was in a household where they fought all the time, but when they did fight, I'd be like, can you just divorce each other? You know, like, that would be like, kids don't ever want their parents to split up. Me, I didn't care. I was like, just fucking divorce him, it's fine, you know? But like I said, you know, times are different now and we're much closer, but back then it was just like, I was not close to my father at all, you know?
So you're looking for guys to fill that void.
I guess. I mean, I did when I was 19, living in LA. I ended up marrying a man that was almost twice my age. So I definitely had a thing for older men, and I really feel like it's because of my whole daddy issues, that I had. Yeah.
So, yeah, let's go. So you're in Frisco or Stockton?
So
16 or?
I was in Stockton when I was 15, 16. I moved when I was 17. I moved to San Francisco when I was 17.
By yourself?
Yes. Yeah, because I went away to college. Lived away from home, loved every minute of it because I had the freedom to do as I pleased.
Was that a strict household? Your mom was open?
No,
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 So it
not a
wasn't
strict
that-
household. Nope, not a strict household at all. It was just
Alright.
more freedom to do as I please. In fact, it got to this is how close me and my mother are. So, I remember my sophomore year of college. I was living in San Francisco. I was renting a room in a house, and I was having
Right in the city?
right in the city.
What
And-
streets? I used to know the streets.
Fuck, what was the street called? I remember the other house that I lived in. The other house that I lived in was in Inner Sunset, so 8th and Noriega was one of the places that I lived at.
Sunset's toward the other side a little bit. Right?
Yeah, it's western side towards the beach. Where I lived before was like more inward near City College of San Francisco. City College, I don't know if you know where that's at.
I just remember
trying to remember the name
Van
of-
Ness and
trying-
Market Street. and-
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the street.
But the other side is over there, Sunset and all the streets
Yeah.
over there. Yeah.
mhm. So
And the park is in the center, right?
yeah, the Golden Gate Park.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, it's really-
Because it separates the Richmond district from the Sunset district, and I lived beneath, so I lived south of the Golden Gate Park. But you could walk there from where I lived at the time. But so I'm 18 at the time. I wasn't quite 19 yet, and I rented a room. I wasn't living on campus anymore because I switched schools.
17, you're there, then you.
17, I was in San Rafael living on campus, and then I turned 18, and then I left that school and then moved to San Francisco.
Why did you leave the school?
Because it was such a small school, being the campus whore, just, it was pretty bad. Like, I had the assistant dean of students forbid me from having guests because of the complaints that my roommate was giving of me having strange men come over and fuck me, even though she watched me fuck them.
So you're at 17 when you're having all these guys come.
17 and 18. 17 to 18, yeah. 17 and 18. And then, so I moved.
But you got thrown out or you just left?
I just left. I
Okay.
was like, I'm not going to stay at the school. I even told my parents, I was like, I don't want to continue at the school. Plus the academics was just, I was like, it's too easy.
And you said you got a scholarship, so your grades must have been amazing?
Oh, at first they were, until I decided, so this is why, this is what I forgot to mention earlier. Because I had a problem, part of my problem was I kept concerning myself with who to fuck all the time, that I stopped going to class. So I just failed everything. At one point, I just failed everything because I stopped showing up. Because I was like, oh, I got this guy coming over, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Nothing that I'm not proud of that, because I was like, well, fuck it, whatever. But I ended up leaving, and then I moved to San Francisco, and I'm living in San Francisco, and I'm renting a room, and from this like older Chinese couple that couldn't speak a lick of English. They couldn't speak a lick of English. But they had a daughter who was, grown woman who could speak English. So every time we did any kind of transactional conversation, it would be between me and their daughter. So where I was renting a room downstairs, because they lived upstairs, I was living downstairs, there was 2 other roommates that I lived with downstairs. And I did the same shit that I did at my college in this house. I would have different dudes coming over, and I'm almost 100. It never came out, but I'm almost 100% positive that they must have thought I was a hooker or something, even though I was just literally just having a good time fucking all these people that I met from the internet or from wherever. And so it got to a point that my door was just a revolving door of men.
How many
That
a night?
a
day, in
a day. When I was living there, it was different from when I was living at school, because at school I could just leave and come as I go as I please. And I think when I was living there, it wasn't so much that I had more people coming over in a day than I would leave and go somewhere else if I wanted to see somebody else. But I don't really have that many partners in a day, because it was a very small space, and I was trying to respect my roommates and stuff. But because they would see a different face all the time, they're like, who are these guys? That's why I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they thought I was a hooker. I'm like, I'm not a hooker, I swear, I'm just very sexual.
Very, I think, maybe the most I've ever heard.
Well, because what ended up happening was, at one point, I guess my roommate had complained, or no, my roommate moved, because I had one roommate and then they moved out because they ended up moving back home for whatever reason, not because of me. But then the new girl that moved in, she lived there for a week. And then she left because she complained about me. So the daughter of the people that I was renting a room from wrote up this piece of paper, handwritten, and said, I need you to sign this. And it says, I will not have any more guests in the house. And I even though I was 18, almost 19, I'm not stupid. So I was like, I'm not signing that. That's not legal at all. I'm paying rent here. Like, I'm renting a room. I'm paying rent here. I'm a tenant here. You can't tell me I can't have guests. And it wasn't like I was being, now mind you, it wasn't like I was being loud and obnoxious about my sexcapades, right? Like,
you make a noise. Ah!
I mean, like, you know, sometimes it'll happen, but I wasn't like, I was, for the most part, I was trying to be respectful of my roommates, you know?
You're still mad at him.
Yeah. And so, like, it was bad. So, I remember before she even made me sign this, she started telling me, is that your boyfriend? I'm like, no, it's my friend. Because it literally was just a friend that I had over, he just happened to be male. So I was like, it's not my boyfriend. And I was trying to figure out why she was asking me that. And then the next day she wanted me to sign this piece of paper. And I refused to sign it. I was like, that's not legal. I'm not signing that. So they called my mother because she was on my emergency list when I had, you know, like signed to rent the place.
Application.
You know what my mother fucking says to me? Frances, my real name's Frances. Frankie, people call me Frankie. But, you know, and my mother never calls me Frances, by the way. She calls me Franny or whatever. So you know I'm in trouble when she says Frances. She's like, Frances, listen. Instead of being upset with me for them calling her and telling her this, my mother tells me, instead of having guys come over, why don't you go over to their house? I'm like, oh my God. That's how I feel like my mother understands, you know? And my uncles are telling me these stories. My mother, instead of getting pissed off, she's like, instead of having them come over, why don't you just go over to their house? I'm like, that's a brilliant idea, Mother. I think I might fucking do that. So
wow, she's interesting.
Yeah, it was very funny. So yeah, that was a very interesting time. And then it was very shortly after that is when I came to LA.
Do you think that your mother was monogamous to your father, being the blood is so hot?
That's a good question because they were very young. My mother was 21 when she met my father, and this is what happened between.
Filipino guys don't have big ones.
Well, my dad's 5'11" for an Asian man. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know, and I really don't want to picture that in my head. But yeah, I mean, Filipino men, they're exactly what.
I mean, not that I know, but
yes,
tell me.
Yes, and I don't. That's why I don't date Filipino men, anyways. So my mother, you want to talk about like being in love and chemistry and whatnot. My parents met on the 4th of July, and they got married July 23rd.
Wow.
So in what, 20, how many days is that? Like 19 days?
No, 17 days.
17 days,
You said what, 21st?
4th of July, and then got married on the 23rd. So
yeah, that's 19 days.
No, 19 days. So they knew each other for 19 days and eloped, ran away to Reno and got married.
But the mentality was a little different back then.
A little different. You're right. You're absolutely right. This is like 1983. This is 1983.
And if they had the Filipino influence, it's different too.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
because I think they're more family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me to ask you: you have only one sister? Any brothers?
Just one sister.
Okay.
Just one sister.
And she was not free. I'm gonna say slutty because let's say she wasn't free like you.
Well, okay. I'll tell you a funny story about my sister. So she's 7 years younger than me. So we have kind of a hefty age gap between the two of us. My sister, after her first long-term relationship, she was with a guy, and this is when she was much younger, she was like 18, 19. She was with a guy for 4 years, the longest relationship she's ever been in. And when they broke up, that's when her slut flag just went up in the air. And she started telling me stories about like, yeah, I fucked his roommate, and then I fucked his other roommate the next night. I'm like, high five, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm so proud, you know?
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
Because I feel like when I got into porn, even though my family supported me, like I have one cousin where I felt like she was kind of repressing herself on purpose because she was like, I don't want to end up like her, and she's also a Scorpio. So I think a part
Don't
of
blame it on the Scorpio.
Yeah, I know.
Blame it on the blood.
Yeah, I feel like she was just kind of like, I'm gonna like not try to, go on that direction. And then there would always be an ongoing joke between me and my cousins where they're like, oh, we always thought that you'd be the one to get pregnant, but it was my other cousin that got pregnant. And they're like, but you just became a whore, and I'm like, ha ha.
But it's not a whore. Don't get it twisted.
twisted.
That doesn't mean whore. Whore is a girl who sells pussy.
Yes.
A slut is a person who enjoys life.
Exactly.
Usually enjoys each other, and people love her.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly.
Horror is sneaky. And
That's why I'm like not whore, it's slut. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when my sister went through her breakup and she was just like having a good time. I remember, I'll never forget this one time. She texted me and was like, "How is it that you like anal so much?" Because I tried it for the first time and I'm like, "What?" And then we started talking about it. And so my sister, like, she has had her fair share of exploring and having a good time. And she's married now. Like, she's married now. And
monogamous?
but I'm from my understanding, yes. But she has come to me for advice and, like, you know, because I'm older than her.
Advice
sister.
for sex or for staying?
Sexual advice, sex advice,
Okay.
like sex advice. You know, like when we talked about anal, that was really fun, a funny conversation that we had. But and every time she would go through her little trampages, she would share it with me, and I loved it when she shared it with me because I'm not gonna judge her, and she knows that, and we're close, and I'm like, tell me everything, I want to know. You know, it's fun. She's a little thicker, but she's got like a nice rack. I'm talking about my sister here. Oh my god. But like that's the one thing that like people are like, damn, your sister's got some nice tits. I'm like, no, I know they're huge. They're like double D's, man, and natural.
Really?
Natural,
Wow. Because
yeah.
you're all into tits. It's, you know,
Yeah. And Filipinos, I feel like Filipinos in general all have nice asses and nice natural boobs. Like me, I'm like a big C.
Really?
I mean, I'm wearing a sports bra, so you can't really. But like, I'm like a C cup now. But when I was at my thickest, I was like a D.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I got into weightlifting, and then my tits shrunk. So.
Of course, I want to know this answer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see your sister? She had one just like yours, a fat one? Is that one in the family?
You know what's funny? I don't remember.
You know, sometimes you see it when you're.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she does have a similar vagina as me.
Oh.
Now that I'm thinking
Good.
about it.
Good. God bless you. So what did you do? You're sitting there 18. You go to another school, right?
Mm-hmm.
A different school in San Francisco. Another Christian school.
No, just a regular community college.
And did you have any jobs then?
Yes, I was. Oh, here, talk about tits again. I was a Victoria's Secret bra specialist at the mall in San Francisco, the Stonestown Mall.
Oh, so that was making you.
Yeah, well, you know, people in San Francisco are so free
Yeah.
and very open-minded and stuff.
Intelligent, yeah.
So I remembered when I worked there and I would help people in the fitting room. I remember this one time, I'll never forget this one time where this woman, she was hot too. She like pushed a little button for me to come help her, and then I opened the door and her tits are out. And she's like, "Can you like help? I'm trying to figure out how to work this, you know, like is this the right size and da da da, and can you like buckle the back for me?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then like, you know, so it was I saw a lot of tits working at that job. But I worked there, and then I also worked at the shoe department at JCPenney. That was actually technically my first job. I worked at JCPenney. Then I quit and worked at Victoria's Secret, and I was working both jobs at the same time. And then I eventually quit my shoe job and only worked at Victoria's Secret. And then I started shooting some amateur stuff.
Well, before we go there, did you have any sexcapades inside the?
Oh my God! I picked up these 3 dudes while working at Victoria's Secret.
You're bad.
I picked up these 3 dudes. It was funny because, you know,
You're 18, probably.
I'm
19.
18. So these guys, it is San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to flirt with me, and I thought they were gay at first because they come into my store. It's Victoria's Secret. We don't sell anything for men. And the one guy in the group was kind of embarrassed to come in, so that's why I thought they were gay. So he stayed outside while the other 2 came in to talk to me because I was working the front area, you know? And they start joking around with me, and I'm trying to feel them out. Like, are these guys fucking gay? Like, are they a gay couple? And then I realized, oh no, they're flirting with me. So then I was like, I get off work at whatever time I get off, if you guys want to hang out. And they literally came back when my shift was over. And then at the time, I had just broken up with my boyfriend, another guy that I was
You broke
dating.
up with him?
I broke up with him. And it was like a mutual decision because I could not keep it in my pants. I was like, I can't be in a monogamous relationship. So, at the time, what's interesting about this story is I was staying on this futon of one of my coworkers at Victoria's Secret. I was staying on the futon in her house downstairs. It was like a townhome type thing. And so I legitimate gave 0 fucks and invited these 3 dudes over, and they fucking took turns on me on this little dinky little futon. We broke it. We ended up breaking the futon because it's wood and there's fucking 4 of us, right? And yeah, I ended up fucking the shit out of the 3 of them, pissed off the girl that I was staying with, because she's like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. You know what I mean? So that was a fun little story of me going home with dudes that I met while working there.
Anything happened inside the store?
Unfortunately, no. I did hook up with my coworker, though. A female coworker. She had never been with a girl before. It was New Year's Eve. I ended up crashing with her at her house. She was living in Vegas at the time, but would come home for the holidays, and she was kind of temporarily working at the store with me. So we were at her parents' house on New Year's Eve, and this is already past midnight and everything, and we're in her bed, and we're talking, and she starts asking me, how many women have you had sex with? Now, mind you, I'm 18. I had only been with like 7 or 8 girls, and she starts kind of beating around the bush, and she's like, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, can I be number 8? Or number 9 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you want to have sex with me? She'd never been with a girl before. And to this day, I'm the only woman she's ever been with. Went to her wedding and everything. You know, we're still friends. We're still friends to this day. But it's very funny when we talk about it, because she's like, yeah, you're still the only woman I've ever been with. But she said that to me because she was curious, and so I ate her pussy, and she's like, oh, can I return the favor? I'm like, you know, usually girls aren't like that, but you gotta go ahead. Yeah. So she ate my pussy, and it was a good fucking time, and didn't make things weird. But yeah, that was, I guess all my experiences from working there never happened actually in the store. It was always outside.
And as wild as you are, you probably missed that.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was, I don't want to get fired, I don't want to get some cameras in here, you know, like, because I always fantasized about doing it in the changing room.
Yeah, and then just or something?
Yeah, and it never happened, so. Yeah.
So, how did you get into business?
So, one of my friends from my school, when I was going to school, he was like, have you ever considered modeling? And I was like, do I look like someone that models? You know what I mean? I was like such a tomboy, you know, like, I was like, do I look like someone that fucking models? He's like, no, seriously, there's this, I know this girl who posed for pictures, on this website that's all Asian girls. AsianDivaGirls.com is the name of the website. And at the time, I was such an exhibitionist. I was so like open with being naked and being, you know, taking pictures and all this stuff, that when I looked at the website, I didn't know it was porn. I thought it was just naked girls posing naked. And I was like, I could do that. Like, it's like I do that already. You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck not? So I contact the guy. Long story short, we end up scheduling a shoot with another girl. I eventually find out that it's actually pornography, and I still agreed to do it. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I show up to set at a hotel, nice hotel in San Francisco. It's this other Asian girl. It's her first time. She's never been with a girl before. Me, I had already had sex with several women before this, and I obviously like women. This was my first experience with a woman that you would call in the business gay for pay, right? Like, I'm talking, like, I'm not gonna eat your pussy, I'm just gonna pretend. I was like, what the fuck? And for my first experience with that, I was like, is this what porn is like? You know, because I watched a shit ton of porn, and to be with, my first scene, to be with a woman that, like, doesn't like girls, had to fake it, and, like, it was, like, so awkward and weird for me. But regardless of that fact, I loved being in front of the camera so much that I was like, I want more. So eventually, he just kept shooting me with all these other different girls. And then there was this girl, I don't know if you remember her. Her name was Lonnie. Do you remember Lonnie? Filipino chick, porn star with the big titties.
Yeah.
She was
part Hawaiian too, I think.
Yes, she was like Hawaiian.
She was cool, very cool.
Yeah. I still talk to her every once in a while.
Lonnie's not Sanders. There was something.
She didn't have a last name. She just went by Lonnie.
But she was cool as hell.
She was cool as fuck.
Tell her I said hi.
I shall. I will. So she was one of, I ended up meeting her on a set, because she shot for the guy regularly, because it's an Asian site.
In Frisco. Because at this point in time, I have my own Asian line, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
oh, we're getting to that part in a minute.
Because I had the, I think really that I am one of the people who pushed and pioneered Asian porn in America.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And so what ended up happening was I ended up shooting a couple of things with Lonnie, and then for a while, this guy that owned the website, he just kept pushing me to do more girl stuff and like solo stuff, and it was fine, whatever. And then I remember him shooting Lonnie with a guy, and I got to watch, and I was thinking, damn, like, I want fucking in on that, you know what I mean? And what ended up happening...
Who was the guy? You remember the guy?
I can't remember his name.
A real guy or amateur?
And he was a performer that I remember him specifically saying that he would try, because he was local in San Francisco, but he would travel to LA for work. So, and I can't remember for the love of God what the fuck his name was, but he did some stuff. He did a scene with Lonnie, and then I convinced this guy to let me shoot a boy-girl scene, right?
You had to convince him? Why?
Well, because he was trying to like baby me, you know, in the business, like, oh, you should start, you know, slow and da-da-da. So at one point, because we would shoot in hotels, right? And he would let me stay in the hotel because he's like, well, I already paid for it. If you want to stay here, you can stay here. So after I shot with this guy, he ended up spending the night with me in this hotel. And I let him fuck me in the ass, right? Because I'd already been doing anal long before I got into the business. So he had a conversation with the guy that was running the website.
This is 19 years old?
This is when I was, I had already turned 19. Yeah, I turned 19 already. I started when I was 18, and then this was like, I think like 2 months later I turned 19, so I was like barely 18. So so what ends up happening, I come to AVN with him.
What year? I'm sorry. What year did you say this was?
03. 2003. So I turned 19 in 2003. And 2004, AVN, the dude takes me with him to AVN, and we shoot a bunch of shit at AVN. I go around the convention and meet people, and everybody's, you know, I'm sure you knew this, there's not very many Asians in porn at any given time. You can count them on one fucking hand, right?
Yeah.
So all these people start meeting me, and like, who's this new chick? Like, you know, because I was brand spanking new. I'd never shot in LA before. I was only doing amateur stuff in San Francisco, but everybody kept meeting me. How old are you? Oh, I'm 19. Oh my God. Take my card. I'm getting all these phone numbers from all these people. Now, mind you, the guy that I was shooting for, that I was there with, still kept trying to baby me, right? He was like, you know, trying to make me exclusive to him only. He's like, well, you can do whatever you want and blah, 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 and all this kind of shit. The guy that I had shot technically my first boy-girl with, you know, for him, because even though it's like amateur stuff at the time, he confided in him, like, I'm worried about Annie, you know, I took her to AVN and now she's gonna go to LA. I just don't want her to get taken advantage of. Like, what if they make her do anal? And he's like, yeah, about that. Fucked her in that hotel that you let her stay in. She let me fuck her in the ass. I don't think you have anything to worry about. Like, because he was all concerned for me and my well-being, and I totally understand why.
Nice guy.
Nice guy. He was totally concerned. He was like, oh, I just want her to take things slow and blah, blah. Fast forward, January 2004, I go to AVN. I met some people in Vegas. I end up shooting some stuff with some other companies in Vegas, which then I end up in LA. So I end up in LA in March. I remember signing with an agency. You were one of the companies that I had gone to. And then you booked me for a scene. It was an interracial scene. And for Asian Cookies Dripping Cum. And that was my first official scene in LA. And then I remember my fourth scene ever ended up being a DP for another company. I don't even think that company's around anymore. And I went in ass first. I was doing anal, everything. And because nobody told me you should probably slow things down, but it didn't work against me because I worked consistently and I was in the business for like 13 years. So I have no regrets. I came in, did that, and then yeah.
That's amazing because, I mean, I haven't interviewed, you know, that many girls yet, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But of course I used to talk to them on the sets.
Right.
You know, a lot of years on the sets.
Mm-hmm.
But you are really made for porn. You know what I mean? Like,
I told you, when I was in college, everybody was all like, she's gonna end up doing porn. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's like, not that I was against it. I was just like, no, I'm going to school to get into print journalism and be a writer. You know, I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to do something with, you know, research and reporting. And, you know, I wanted to do journalism. That was essentially what I was in school for, communication. And now I do radio, which is kind of funny. But
that's what you wanted to be, a journalist.
I wanted to be a journalist, yeah. I wanted to be a print journalist. This is before the internet took over everything. You know, this we're talking about 2002, where there's still newspapers and stuff, you know? So everybody was just like, she's gonna end up doing porn. I'm like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? I like watching it, but I'm not gonna do it. And then here I am.
That's amazing, but you were watching it, so tell me. Because I was a big porn fan myself.
Mm-hmm.
And porn was way harder to get way back then.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, when I was a kid. And I used to get it, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Let's talk about 82, I used to watch movies. 81, it was difficult. Anyways, did you have any male or female stars that you really looked up to and said, I love these, or they're hot, or, you know, anybody special?
There was one girl, I can't remember her fucking name. She was a little bit newer era of people. But I do remember, I didn't really have a favorite. I like Ginger Lynn. She's cool, and I became friends with her.
The old Ginger Lynn?
Yeah, I mean, Ginger Lynn.
No, I know Ginger Lynn, but I'm saying like the old movies.
Yeah, like pretty? New wave hookers, man, you know? Yeah. So I know my shit. No, and then I became friends with her, and then I ended up fucking her, which was funny. Like,
really?
Not on camera. Like, this was like a whole, like, that was a fun fucking thing that we ended up doing.
Great. Is she great or what?
Yeah, she's
great. I
great.
never worked with her.
You never worked with her? She's great. She's such a freak. It was funny because it was her boyfriend's birthday, and I wasn't allowed to fuck him. I was only allowed to suck his dick. But she and I fucked around, and it was hot. It's interesting to have seen her in her movies, and then be an adult, having done porn, and then meeting her, and then doing stuff with her, like work with her. Like she had like an auction site for a while, so like I took some pictures of like, you know, me in lingerie, and she would like auction them off for me. So we kind of had like this little business thing going, but we became friends, and she's so much fun. She's hilarious. I love her. She doesn't live in LA anymore though, so I haven't really seen her in a while. Yeah.
Where'd she go?
To Vegas, I think, where everybody else went to.
She's not working anymore, is she?
No. She was just doing the auction thing for a while. I don't know what she's up to now. I haven't talked to her in forever, but I remember Christy Canyon even, like, one of my earliest memories of a movie that I've seen that was like vintage was her and Paul Thomas, him playing blind. He's a blind guy with I think he even had a walking stick, and then her and her massive bush and everything. Like, that's the earliest memory I have of seeing a movie with Christy Canyon. But yeah, there's a lot of movies that I used to watch when I was much younger where I couldn't tell you the names of the stars because I was too young to understand who was who and whatever, and especially the scrambled shit can't really.
But Ginger Lynn and
Christy, yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
I missed out on Ginger I never even talked to her, which doesn't make sense.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I was at her one house one time when she was there, and I don't know, she seemed like she didn't want to talk to me, and I was a pretty big star, so I was like, okay.
Wow.
You know, like maybe she was just had something on her mind. Right?
Yeah.
But I definitely should have said hello to her, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'd like to get her on that show. Maybe one day she'll come back to LA and maybe you can tell her to come.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe. Absolutely. Yeah.
But Paul Thomas, since you brought up Paul Thomas.
Yeah.
Did you work for him a lot?
I did a couple of movies with him for Vivid, actually, back in the day. Yeah.
Okay.
God, that was a long time ago.
Well, I worked for him a lot, but I had him on the podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how funny. Okay, how did that go?
It's interesting. I mean, he's cool. I know him. You know, he always super nice to me. You know, and he, since I've been around so long, he said, "Okay, I'm happy to do the interview for you." You know. So he said this statement, I think on another interview, but but he said in my interview too, I think. So he said, "Why have sex unless you're high?"
Why have sex? Really?
Unless you're high on drugs.
Okay.
So he's being real, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I've had other people on here talking about sex and drugs.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you like or appreciate sex more when you're high on drugs, or do you never do drugs?
I will say this, psychedelics, okay? Psychedelics and sex. You know what they say when you take a psychedelic type of drug, whether it's mushrooms or LSD or whatever, you almost go into a different universe, right? And when you're in your own universe, or a completely different world, if you will, and you're just, it's like, that mind-altering world that you're in, when you mix that with sex, oh my God. Like, there's just something about, like, you want to talk about connections and chemistry with someone, when you're on a psychedelic drug and you're having sex, you almost become one with that person, and it becomes very emotional. Like, I've cried. I never cried having sex before, but on psychedelics I have, where I'm just like, I don't even know why I'm crying, but this feels great. Like, you know what I mean? There's just something about it that is just almost kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's just a whole other level. It's such a cosmic level of just like Unity. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Like, I don't know, there's something about it. But I wouldn't say my sex needs to be like that all the time. No, like it's fun to partake in something like that every once in a while, but it hasn't ruined it for me to the point where I'm like, no, I must do mushrooms and have sex right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's just an experience, you know, like a different experience. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that you brought this up because I actually saw someone comment somewhere how they can't have sex unless they're under the influence.
Which is what he says. He does not want to have sex unless he's high.
And it's interesting coming from a man because from the woman that said this, the reason why she said that is because I can't come unless I'm under the influence. And I'm like, what? So I mean, for a man to say that, I'm curious. What did he say? Why did he say that?
Well, because he doesn't have sex anymore because he's 70, right? Because
right. Yeah.
Pretty much, I understand. Because he's not going to take drugs. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't want to take drugs. He's had a lot of wild ups and downs of drugs, you know?
Right, sure.
Good times, bad times.
Sure.
You know? And so he won't, you know, touch drugs, so he can't have sex. Then he said, why the hell would I have sex unless I'm on drugs? Because I've had so much high sex. Why would I come back down to normal sex? You know what I mean?
So it's ruined it for him.
Yeah, he will not. You know, but he's 70. But yeah, he's not interested. And I asked him that because I had listened to one of his other interviews, and it led to that. You know, they spoke about that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, I mean that makes sense from that perspective, I guess, because I mean he is older.
Yeah,
he's older now.
He doesn't want to have, you know, maybe drugs at that age. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, he still seems strong to me.
Yeah.
You know, but I talked to Shawn Michaels, and he said he thought, you know, ecstasy and drugs were great. I had Mark Davis here. I think he's concurred with ecstasy. I think I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it's the feel-good drugs, of course. Right. Ecstasy is a feel-good drug.
Yeah. So Shawn Michaels said, and Mark Davis, and so you said you were taking ecstasy.
When I was like 19, when I was 19, the first time I ever did ecstasy, I was 19, and I remembered having sex on ecstasy. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing because it's a feel-good drug, right? Like. Kind of psychedelic, but not really, because it's not a psychedelic drug, because you don't really see things, you know, when you're on it, like mushrooms and LSD, but you get that body high, that feeling where you just want to touch yourself and everything feels so good. So yeah, like I've had sex on ecstasy before, like many years ago, and I remember enjoying it, but it never ruined it for me to the point where I'm like, I absolutely need to be on this. And quite personally, if I had to choose, I would choose sober sex over anything, because I mean, like I said, psychedelic drugs and sex, that unity, that cosmic level of just like, oh my god, this is mind-blowing. It's great. Didn't ruin it for me to the point where I need it. But one thing I learned over the years, you know, I used to party a lot. You know, I used to drink and, you know, fucking...
Cocaine? Drinking and cocaine is things that go together.
Yeah, they do go together, yeah, for sure. But I don't really drink I don't party anymore,
no,
really.
Did you do a lot of cocaine?
I used to drink a lot, and I would partake every once in a while. And
not too much, just
not,
a little bit?
Not too much, a little, you know, a little
Snorting it?
Yeah.
No smoking it?
No smoking it. No. I mean, you know, like every once in a while, you know, to level yourself out when you want to sober up a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of wakes you up. I remember the first time I ever tried that was like many years ago. Like I'm kind of boring now. I don't really do anything anymore. I don't drink or party like that anymore. I can't. I feel like I'm getting too old. If I have one drink, I'm like, oh god, my head hurts. Just I can't. You know, I can't. I had my fair share back in the day. You know what I mean? Of partying. And
meth?
But no. But what I wanted to specifically touch on was drinking, because you know, like when you drink too much, you black out. And there was like a trampage from Trampage 2016, I think, where I was drinking a lot with my roomies and stuff and partying, having a good time, and then I would black out. And I would wake up the next morning and I'm like, did we have sex? Yes, we did have sex, but I don't fucking remember it because I was blackout drunk. Not my proudest moments, of course. You know, it was just a period in my life where I just was having a good time. And, you know, now that I'm a little bit older and I don't want to say I've grown up. I mean, we all grow up sometimes, right? But I feel like if I had to pick and choose, I would choose sober sex, because now I can remember everything. I can remember everything about that moment. And that was the one thing that I hated about that period in my life because I'm like, I want to remember. I don't even remember. I remember I hooked up with this guy, blacked out, couldn't remember shit. He had to tell me, he's like, I'm so sorry, it's my fault because I fed you all those tequila shots. And I'm like, God damn it, it's all your fault. But I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember anything about what his dick looked like. I couldn't remember what he was like in bed. So what ended up happening was we ended up hanging out. We did a do-over. We ended up hanging out a second time. Oh my God, this dude had a massive dick that I was like, how did I not fucking remember this? Because I was blackout drunk. So I'm glad that we hung out again because I was like, holy shit now, oh my fucking God. So really, it's like when people say, I have to be under the influence to have sex, I'm like, why though? Don't you want to remember what's happening? And in some people, like I said, this woman, she can't orgasm unless she's under the influence. And that's unfortunate because, you know, when you're sober and you're able to feel everything and feel how good it feels without, you know, substances, then, you know, it's that more intense, I feel like. So, yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have sex on drugs while you're working?
No.
No?
So here's a fun fact about me. I got into porn when I was 18. When I came to LA, I was 19, obviously. So let's just say I was 19. I was very into shooting a lot of porn. I was workaholic, right? Like I got a good agent. I was working constantly. This is a different time, a different period in porn, right? We're talking 2004, right? Mm-hmm. Where business was a lot different than it is now in 2019. So back then,
More fun.
yeah, it was for real. I'm hearing a lot of people complain now. Like, I'm not in the business anymore, but I have friends that still are, and all I hear is complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. I'm like, what the fuck? It wasn't like that when I was in the business, you know? But I digress. So, back then, I was very goal-oriented. I was very into my work, and I was shooting constantly, and I had no interest in partying. Because even when I was living in San Francisco, I didn't really party. Like, yeah, I went to a couple of raves here and there, but when I came to LA, I was very into like, okay, I'm gonna save my money. I bought a house when I was fucking 20, you know what I mean? So I was very into, while other girls were buying Gucci purses, I was investing and saving, you know? And then I also married a man that was almost twice my age, and a lot of people at the time called me an old soul. They're like, you're like an old soul, you know what I mean? I had a lot of older people say that to me at the time, and I just didn't care about doing the young stuff, if that makes any sense. Which brings me to why I waited so long. So even when I hit 21, I wasn't into even drinking, you know. Maybe I smoked a little weed here and there, you know, whatever. But for the most part, I didn't party ever. I even went to like porn events where I didn't partake in drinking because I just wasn't interested in drinking. So it wasn't until I was about 25, 26 that I finally, it was almost like, it was a delay in like me trying to enjoy, you know, like alcohol and partying and stuff, because when I was in my earlier 20s, I was more interested in working and saving my money and like just, you know, being ambitious about other things, you know, like I wanted to start my own company at the time and this and that and the other thing. So I didn't really care too much about partying. And then 25, 26 hits. I started dating this other guy who was, you know, ended up being my longest relationship ever. We were together for 5 years. Then I started kind of going out and drinking and partying, and I was like, I'm getting this out of my system now. You know what I mean? So instead of getting it out of my system when I was younger, I was getting it out of my system in my mid-20s. And then, you know, I'll be 30, like I said, I'll be 35 in a month, and I don't really party like that anymore. I'm at that age where I'm just kind of like, sex is my drug. You know? So
you're never really a big really not a party girl. Unlike
I went through a phase.
Not really though.
But not really, no.
Yeah.
I went through, it was a phase. It was a total phase. Like, people see me and they're like, oh yeah, you're such a wild child. You're a party girl. Like, yeah, it was a phase that I went through, but I mean, you know, here I am now, and I'm like, I'll have like a drink, if that. Like, I've gone to a lot of birthday parties or functions where there is alcohol, and I'll literally just drink a Sprite, or I'll have a sparkling water with a lime, just so I can feel like I'm fitting in. You know what I mean? But it just doesn't interest me anymore. You know, like it's like having a hangover and waking up with a headache from hell. I'm just like, I don't miss that. So I've had my fair share, and don't get me wrong, I'll go through periods where I'm like when my birthday comes, I may or may not be like, all right, we're doing shots, let's go. Whiskey, that's bourbon, come on. But that was a phase that I went through.
You have a strong spirit, so I can see you're not really. A lot of people use drugs and alcohol to escape, ideas in their head. But you seem very strong spiritually, so it doesn't seem like that. Just slow you down. It seems like the drugs and alcohol. But
And when I did party like that, it wasn't even to escape anything. It was just literally to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're having a good time. Let's fucking do it, So.
let me tell you about something. Okay. That you'll see. You've had so much wild sex, right? And the body and mind is very touchy or very intricate, maybe. So with all this wild sex, these trampages and stuff, you got to be scared sometimes that one day this beauty, because it's a beautiful thing, to have this energy and this freedom and greatness. Because I have it, crazy sex maniac, but I am slowing down, right? And you say to yourself, wow, once upon a time, I was so wild and crazy.
Yeah.
And now I'm not as wild and crazy as I used to be. And you think about it kind of strangely and say, So one day, beware that thought and that energy will come to you.
That one day, because it's interesting, because when I was 19, people used to make jokes like, oh God, if you're as sexual as you are now, I can only imagine what you're going to be like when you hit your prime. That prime is now, right? Like, I'm going to be 35, so they say, oh, a woman hits her prime when she's like 35, and I'm like, I'm still as sexual as ever, but I'm like, what's going to happen 10 years from now? Am I going to be like...
The prime for certain people are at different points in time. You know what I mean? I believe. From what I've seen. So I would say you've already hit your prime, you know what I mean? And maybe you're at a plateau. But, I don't know you all the ways, what you're telling me, you know what I mean? But it's a very strange way that your mind and body will play tricks on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
You just gotta stay strong spiritually all the time. Well, why did you get married?
Why did I get married?
Yeah, because you were married at 19 or 20?
Yeah, I was 20. He, honestly, I was so young. Like, yeah, I was an old soul, but I was also very young and naive. And when he proposed to me, I figured people stay engaged for years. Like, we don't have to get married right away. You know what I mean? We'll just be engaged for, a while. And he kept pushing the issue of like, let's get married at AVN. Let's get married at AVN. Let's get married at AVN. I'm like, well, I want my family to be there. What do you mean you want to get married at AVN?
It's a guy in the business.
Yes. And so,
what's his name?
Jack.
That's what I thought. Okay, Jack.
Yeah. So Jack proposed to me, and then he kept saying, let's get married at AVN. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking get married at AVN. If I'm going to get married, I want my family to be there. But I allowed him to convince me to do that. Influence me into like, fuck it, let's do it. So we ended up doing it. It was hilarious because, I like threw panties into the crowd instead of a garter belt, and all that kind of shit, or a bouquet of flowers, whatever you want to call it. And, and we were only married for a year and a half. We had an open marriage. I was fucking other guys, he was fucking other girls, we would fuck people together. And then eventually I ended up meeting a guy who was my 5-year relationship guy, who I had a better connection with. And I eventually ended up just leaving him. I told him I want a divorce, I don't want to be with you anymore, and then I ended up dating the other guy for 5 fucking years. Which is a long fucking time for me. But yeah, I guess you could say, to answer your question, I got married because it just happened. It wasn't one of those things where, I could have easily put my foot down and said, no, let's just be engaged for a while. But instead, I allowed myself to be put in a position where I was like, fuck it, let's get married. And then, it was fine when it lasted, but then I ended up leaving him, so, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I remember Jack, he got in the way a little bit. I don't think he wanted me having sex with you too much.
Yeah, it was interesting because we had an open thing, but then he would, be weird about certain things or certain people. It was very a very interesting relationship to say the least. I'm like, what?
I think one day you said something. I mean, such a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, but I got that vibe totally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you had how many scenes have you done?
When I was keeping track, I have done probably 600 something scenes in total, if you include all the stuff that I did on the internet. Because people like to count their filmography as DVDs, but I also did stuff for Kink.com and a bunch of other websites, and now everything's on the internet now. So it's everything that people shoot now, it's all internet, what website, this website and that website. So roughly 600 scenes.
It was wonderful, most of them.
Oh yeah. I honestly don't regret anything. Everything from the beginning all the way to the end. There was a lot of, it's had its ups and its downs and whatnot. People that you meet that are just trash, but in any business you've come across that, but
a director or producer maybe.
Director, producer, other performers,
Really?
my
example.
I can't really think of an example at the top of my head right now. I think I remembered working with a guy that I didn't like, but that was very rare for me to, and girls too. There'd be times where I'd get booked with girls that were gay for pay that would just be super weird on set, and it was like why would I want to be here? I feel like I'm raping you, you know what I mean? But that would, like I said, those were all very rare occurrences. There was, for the most part, my experience in the business was pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of good sex.
A lot of great sex. I mean, I had a lot of fuck buddies that I would fuck off camera, every once in a while. Met a lot of.
I'm jealous. I am a jealous guy. And by the way, I couldn't have gone out with you because I'd be too jealous.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I had some great sex in the business, and then, yeah.
What performers did you like a lot?
Ooh, that's a good question. Manuel Ferrara was a lot of fun because he's very passionate. You want to talk about passion? He was very I really liked working with you a lot. The few times that we worked together. Who else was a good performer? Oh God, when I'm put on the spot, I can't think. I did one of my last scenes that I shot is probably one of my favorite films that I've shot in my entire career. And I think it's probably because I did double anal, and it wasn't supposed to be a double anal scene. And I can't. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the guy's name. He's a newer performer. He's Russian. I can't remember his fucking name.
I think I heard about this guy.
Yeah.
Mark or something.
Yes, Marcus Dupree.
Yeah.
That's his name. So I did a scene with him and John Strong, and it was supposed to be just a regular DP scene, and then next thing I know, both their dicks are in my ass, and I'm doing 60% double anal in this entire film, or my scene. And so I also named the movie. It's called Asian Fuck Machines, because when I was being interviewed, I made a joke how my nickname was Little Brown Fuck Machine, LBFM. So then the director, Johnny Darko, he named the movie Asian Fuck Machine, so I technically named the movie, but it was a really hot scene, and Marcus, he's another passionate guy. I like a lot of performers that are very passionate, the chemistry is, we had a really good chemistry, and God, who else?
What year was that? You think you did that one?
2016?
Oh, so it's recent.
Yeah, 2016 or 2015? 2015 or 2016.
Because I just heard about his name, so he must be part of the newer...
Yes, he's part of the newer. Because I remember when I first met him, we were on set and they were filming another scene before us, and we went into the garage, and he fucked me in the ass in the garage and made me squirt all over this fucking garage floor. I was like, and then we went back and snuck back inside, and
really?
Then, yeah,
he's a nice looking guy.
Yeah, he's a good looking dude. Good looking dude. He's got a big dick. So that was like a hot little moment of before we do our scene, let's fucking go sneak over here real quick. So we already had an initial attraction to each other, and then next thing I know, we're doing it in the garage, and then but yeah, so that was a really good movie, the one where I did double anal. Anyways, that was a good one. Can't really think. I know I'm gonna probably, when I leave here, I'm gonna be like, oh, this person was good too, but I can't remember. I couldn't remember at the time.
So 3 guys, me and Manuel and Mark.
Yeah,
Marcus,
and I'm sure there's probably 2 other ones that I can't think of at the top of my head right now. But just thinking right now, casually.
How was it working for me in my company?
I liked working for you. I had a lot of fun on your sets. I'll never forget when I did that first scene with Darren, actually. I remembered when we were done. Yeah, I know. He, we won't get into that, but he straight up told me, you know, it's kind of hard keeping up with you because I was telling him, is that the best you got? Like, I remembered specifically.
You didn't say that to me.
Yeah, like I don't even think I said is that the best you got. I forgot exactly what I said, but something along the lines of like trying to push him, you know. And he was just like, usually girls, you know, they don't want like balls deep in the fucking ass, and I'm just like, fucking give it to me, you know what I mean? And I remember I remember specifically him mentioning something about what I said, and I can't remember for the love of God what the fuck it was that I said it, but it was something along the lines of like, not is that the best you got, but something like that, you know, like fucking give it to me type shit or whatever. So that was kind of funny. But I like working for you. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, it was good. I mean, there's so many movies I produced, and I was an actor in so many movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's not a lot of girls that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's easy for me to forget them.
Sure. Yeah.
Victoria, I'll never forget you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're special. And these stories you tell me really signify stuff special. You're really a sex demon.
I did a movie called Possessed by Sex. They named it after me because they're like, you're like a fucking demon when you have sex. I'm like, I know.
Well, like James Brown had the song "Sex Machine." Ooh, like a sex machine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how many awards have you won with all that passion? You had to
Oh
win
my
some
God.
awards.
So the ongoing joke with me is that I was throughout my career underrated. I was even nominated for Underrated Starlet of the Year for ABN, except they called it something else at the time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Unsung Siren or something.
yeah, like something like that. I can't remember what it was, but you know, I got nominated for a lot of shit. I remember winning. Fuck, why can't I think of it at the top of my head right now? I got more nominations than I did wins. I did win Squirt Queen of the Year 2006, I think, from Adam Film World Award or whatever it was called. I can't remember what it was called. And then, oh fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, lots of more nominations than wins.
So 3 or 4 or 5 awards?
Yeah, like I think I won like 3, and then the rest were just nominations.
You know, it's very strange how that stuff works sometimes.
It's political, man. It's political.
I mean, I was an actor who did a lot of work in my time, way before you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I won a lot of awards, but if you saw the work I did and all the energy I put in it, you'd say, oh, it doesn't really make sense. I should have won more. But it's so strange. Who wins, who doesn't win. I'll give you a quick example. I already said this before on the show. Performer won in 1994. I stunted for him 10 times that year. And he was one of the weakest guys ever in history.
Oh my God.
And they gave him Performer of the Year. He even knew up on stage that I was TT, up on stage in awards.
Yeah.
But you say to yourself, do you people really know what you're doing inside those review boards and committees? I mean, do you really understand the business, or are you totally fucking retarded?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's really what we'd say about that. We don't want to push it harder than that, but
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Yeah. So I mean, and it's like I said, the ongoing joke, because even my own fans would. I even had someone tweet something out tagging me in it like recently, saying like, "How come you're not in the Hall of Fame?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. I don't look into that shit. I don't care. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I've been gone from the business for a while. It's like not a concern of mine. You know what I mean?"
But that's disrespectful.
What's disrespectful?
Not being in the Hall of Fame.
I've never.
For them.
Oh.
Them being disrespectful.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. You know what I mean? You should be there. So, how many years did you had? 10 years or 13 years performing?
So I was in it in 03 technically, and then I quit in like early 2016, late 2015-ish. So
12,
13 years. Yeah.
600 scenes.
600
a lot of great
scenes.
memories.
A lot of great memories. Like I said, no regrets. So.
Did you learn anything sexually?
I've learned to like new things that I never thought I would like.
Like what?
Like golden showers.
Oh, really?
I I was like totally against that
You are
idea.
crazy.
That was totally. I mean, not that I do it at home or anything.
Well, I
but,
mean,
like,
it doesn't matter. If whatever you like is what you like, and
but
that's
like,
that.
yeah, like, but like, I was always against it. Like, I'm not gonna fucking play with shit. But then I did a lesbian, like bukkake type movie for Jim Powers actually.
He's
And-
great. Do you think he's great?
Oh, he's hilarious.
Whoa.
I love that guy. But all these girls were just fucking pissing all over me, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of hot. And so I found a newfound thing. So as far as learning anything, I think the main thing I took from being in porn was, even though I was doing a lot of anal in my personal life, I didn't know the ins and outs of how to properly prepare for it. You know, like using an enema and doing this and doing that. So I learned a lot of preparation stuff, I guess, for lack of a better word, you know, from being in porn, you know, like stuff that I never would have thought of being a civilian. You know, like porn has taught me how to properly prepare myself for certain sex acts, I guess, you know, you could say. And now I'm teaching those things to other people, like people that are trying to learn how to properly take anal or give anal. Now I'm able to teach them, like, okay, well, this is the different kinds of enemas you can use. You've got saline solution, you've got, you know, this, you've got that, and yada, yada, yada. So,
I mean, you really are a sex machine, so, and you seem very intelligent, so I totally see you as a therapist or a sex doctor.
I feel like that's what I do on my radio show, to be honest. I get people that call with their problems or write to me with their problems, and then I worked as a dating coach, which I was helping men better themselves, and it was more than just picking up girls, talking to women, or having sex with girls. It was also fixing themselves. Because I got a lot of clients when I was working as a dating coach that like needed help from the ground up, you know? Like on one hand, I had guys that, you know, the 40-year-old virgin does exist. I had a lot of dudes that were
That's
just,
scary.
because they have social anxiety. They can't function socially, and you know, I had to teach them that you can't use alcohol as a crutch. You need to be able to talk to women without being drunk, because then you're going to rely on it. You know what I mean? On the other hand, I would have guys that were good looking, well dressed, because you can be good looking and dressed like shit. You know what I mean? That were well dressed. Their apartments were like in pristine condition, but as soon as they open their mouths, they say the wrong thing. Because I would look at them and I'd be like, okay, what's wrong with you? I got to figure out what's wrong with you, because you're hot, you dress nice, you have a nice pristine apartment, so what are we working with here? And then as soon as I would watch them talk to women, I'm like, that's the problem right there. So I had like a very wide range of people that I worked with, and I worked as a dating coach. And I helped a lot of people overcome a lot of stuff, so I'm good at teaching, I guess, or I like to think I'm good at teaching.
Well, you have experience. You have a lot of experience with people.
Mm-hmm.
Communications, and you know, you're a communicator.
I'm definitely a communicator, for sure.
How many guys have you had sex with?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you off air.
Come on, no. Come on.
Honestly, I fucking...
Guesstimate.
I kept a list, and I remembered on my list, it's definitely in the triple digits,
That's no big deal.
but I can't remember what number I left off at, so...
Well, I mean, you can give me like a 400, 500, 600, 999.
No. Less than 1,000, and...
More than 998? No.
No. I can't remember if I'm in the 400s or the 600s. I feel like I'm in the 600s. But I mean, you have to put into account, I'm 35, lost my virginity when I was 16. So that's like, how many years is that?
Yeah, it's no, I mean,
19 years.
Yeah.
In 19 years having sex. And then, you know, I did a lot of porn. So, yeah, somewhere around there. 500-ish?
It's all right. It's not bad. 'Cause listen, I used to talk to girls in Brazil when we were shooting the movies. I go, how many guys you fuck? You know what I mean? Because I had sex with a lot of girls. And I go, yeah, 500? No. 1,000? No. And these girls are 22, 23.
Yeah.
But they've been doing, you know, working all day as hookers. So 3, 4, 5 programs a day, they would call it.
Oh.
Right? So say the girls had 2,500 and they're only 23, 24.
She got me beat.
You know what I mean? And I'd say,
yeah.
you know, I don't think they had your enthusiasm because you really are a girl about sex.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they weren't, but they were selling.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. It was a business.
It's not even the same world.
Yeah.
'Cause there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You have something that you have, beauty. I mean, it's beautiful for wild sex, but with the wild sex came a story. You know what I mean? So that's like, it's a picture, it's a puzzle, it comes together and it just mingles and mangles, and it's just a beautiful experience. And you know, it's love. There's love in that. Even though you're not in love, there's love there.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing, you know. So, anyways, I mean, I'm a big sex enthusiast. I probably did 12, you know,
Okay.
1,000. You know what I mean?
I thought you were gonna say 1,200. I was like, damn. Yeah, because I feel like I'm like, am I wrong with my numbers? Because I have my spreadsheet somewhere. Because it's supposed to. It's a joke. It's an ongoing joke. Yeah, it's an ongoing joke that stems from college. And so the last time I checked it, I'm pretty sure it was like, I could be wrong. It could be 400. I don't know.
That's
Maybe
all good. It's
500,
beautiful.
600. Yeah.
Whatever guys were lucky enough to be able to spend time, and energy, you know. With
Yeah. Actually,
Annie.
I just realized something. That number is
Consider
men
yourself
and
lucky.
that number is men and women. So I don't know how many guys. So
Alright.
out of that number,
Not so,
a lot
not
of
so,
it is women.
not as many as I would think.
Yeah.
After all the wild.
Yeah, I said I could be wrong with my
Trampages.
number right now, but it's definitely not 1,000. I've definitely not been with 1,000 people.
Is there any fantasies that you haven't fulfilled?
I have not had sex with a trans woman.
I had one in here the other day. Lena Kelly. She's a very nice.
She's
person.
very pretty.
Very nice.
She's very nice.
Very
Yeah.
nice person.
Yeah, like that's one thing. I've sucked a dick on a trans woman before, but I've never had sex with one. So you know, that's one fantasy. I mean, I've done it all. You know, like, and when I think all the things that I have done, that's the one thing I have not done. So
Well, I guess
yeah.
you better get to it.
But that's it. That's it. Yeah.
In 2 words, can you describe your experience in the adult pornography business?
In 2 words,
Yeah.
good time.
That's good.
It was a good time. You know, like, it's like I was in it for so long, and, you know, I'm lucky that I've been able to have the opportunities that I have now, because sometimes having been in porn for as long as I have, and people knowing who I am, that's bit me in the ass. Like, I've been to auditions in Hollywood for mainstream stuff, because that's something that I have a passion for as well. And I've done stuff where I would land a role, and then it just took one casting director to be like, do I know you from somewhere? Were you with this agency before? What? How do you know that? You know what I mean? Like, they just recognize my headshot, even though I'm going in there as Frankie, not Annie. They're like, I know that face. And then, oh, we've decided to go a different route. Okay. So one thing I have learned post-porn is that I can never do anything on network TV, even though I did stuff with MTV before, because they just frown upon people that have a past in porn. But other than that, I still don't have any regrets. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've been lucky with the opportunities. I mean, I had a movie that came out in Sundance. I have a couple of other movies that I've done that are on Netflix and Amazon and whatnot. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, your voice is so clear. You're powerful. You're a powerful person. No, really. I'm not fucking around.
Thank you.
You got power, you know?
Thank you.
I feel that, you know, now, I haven't seen you in 13 years, so, you know?
Yeah.
I have a better perception of you now.
Long time, man.
Sucks.
Fuck, yeah.
I really, so, are you a gamer?
I am.
Because I see the world switching media right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of Hollywood, which I love and you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regular, beautiful movies, high quality, well put together movies. I appreciate, you know, the artistry of it.
Yeah.
It seems like it's fading away. A lot of it's fading in the back. Less quality on Amazon, you know what I mean? Or no, Netflix. I see a lot of junk, right? So I see that fading, and I hear stories, and I see the media being switched over to gaming. Do you agree?
It's become a huge industry. The gaming industry is huge. There's so many people that are streaming now. I have a Twitch page. I'm actually an affiliate on Twitch, where basically I have a camera on my PlayStation, and people can watch me playing and watch the game that I'm playing simultaneously, and then also chat in a chat room. And I love it because I'm very into communicating with people on a social kind of basis. So being on a platform where I can like do something that I love doing and then have people watching me do it and enjoy watching me do it. It's a lot of fucking fun. And I feel like that industry has grown so much just in the last several years. Because I remember Twitch came out and I was like, okay, and now you just have all these different people that are streamers now. It's crazy.
That's what I see. The world is changing from like Hollywood. They wouldn't do that 10 years ago like this.
No.
So this is the future.
Yeah. There's people that are famous from being a
I hear
streamer.
the stories.
Where I'm like, who is that guy? Oh, he's a streamer. What the, or like I know someone and that's all I know them from is that they're a streamer, you know?
That's fucking
YouTube
crazy.
stars and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a trip. I mean, you know, I'm 51. I'll be 52, but that's a trip.
You look good though.
Yeah.
You look good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Really?
52? Jesus Christ. Yeah, you look good.
Oh, 51. I'm almost 52.
Yeah.
But I checked out your Instagram page this morning. You know, I saw that you were
Cosplaying? Yeah, I went to Comic-Con. I went to Comic-Con this past weekend.
Oh, yeah?
I actually, you've seen the movie Evil Dead.
Yeah, I love the
Okay.
first one. Scared. I was watching it by myself. I was probably like 15 when it first came out, 1980, whatever. And there was a ghost in my house, and it was double scary.
Oh my god.
The
Yeah.
real Evil Dead one.
Yeah, Evil Dead 1 is the scarier one of the two. But so I like to build props now. Like I've taken a lot of my creativity and put it into all these different projects that I love doing. So one of my favorite things to do is to build props. So like the first thing that I tackled in a long time, because I used to make my own costumes back in the day for when I would go to conventions and whatnot. And I decided to make the reverse bear trap from the movie Saw, because there's a video game that I play that also has that in there. So I essentially was cosplaying as one of the characters from my game. So I built the and you'll see it because I'm going to post it again today. I have a separate page for my cosplay stuff, but I built that. And with the success of that, I decided to build the chainsaw from Evil Dead. So I built it
on the arm?
Yeah, I built it from scratch. I should just show you a picture of it.
Bring it, let's see it.
Yeah,
Please,
so
share it, please.
So this right here, here's the picture of me with the chainsaw. So you can see that from...
Oh, that's awesome. That is crazy. Let's look at that. Look how beautiful. It's so hot. It's unbelievable. So much power. God, Annie, you really are powerful. And because that's coming from, I don't know, I can feel it. Look at it. You look kind of dangerous. She's got a little snarl on her.
Bruce Campbell's a badass.
I love Bruce Campbell.
So yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna do a female version of this, and I'm gonna do it now.
That's
so
beautiful.
that yeah,
That's great. That's a cool picture.
Yeah.
That's a great picture. That's obviously a green screen, right?
no. So when I went to Comic-Con, they actually there's a booth there
Okay.
that had this whole setup that looks like you're in the woods, and I saw it and I was like, that's a perfect spot for me to take a picture with my chainsaw, because Evil Dead in the woods,
Yeah.
in the wilderness, whatever.
It's great.
And so I took a picture in front of it, and then it ended up turning out what you just saw right there, which was dope.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
We're almost done, and I gotta get out of here. And you spent so much time with me.
I know, we talked I was like, wow, we talked for forever.
It's crazy. But when do these ones kind of fast, these questions. What is your favorite game?
Resident Evil.
That is,
Yeah, if I had to pick, I mean, I play a wild array of games, but Resident Evil, hands down, is my favorite game. It's the one game that my uncle had shown to me, and I just got addicted to it. Resident Evil 2, Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4 are like my top 3 faves. I did beat Resident Evil 7 twice, so I love the game. I love horror, as you can tell, with my Ash cosplay. So I like survival horror games. I've been playing Dead by Daylight. I've been kind of addicted to playing Dead by Daylight, but I play Call of Duty and like shooter games and Fortnite as well. Which, if anybody goes to acctwitch.com, they can check out the stuff that I do and my videos that I have from gaming on there.
Which one should I play? Because I'm thinking about playing a game. Should I play Resident Evil?
Do you
shooting?
like scary games? Do you like shooting people?
I like anything that's gonna entertain me.
Entertaining? Well, horror games are entertaining because it scares the shit out of you. Like people like watching me play it because then you jump and you're like, oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. So that's entertaining in itself. if you just like to shoot people and come out on top, like I'm very competitive, so I'm always like about winning. So I'm like, let's see if I can, like Fortnite really turned me into a fucking monster because I'm like, I only came in second, I wanted first, So I would go between those three, Resident Evil, because they just remastered the second one, which is my favorite one, and I kind of want to get that game. To replay it again and also possibly stream it. But Resident Evil 2 just came back out. Fortnite is coming out with a part 2, so it's a completely different map, and it's a really fun game. If you look it up, you can probably see what interests you more, but these are some of the games that I like playing. And Call of Duty if you just want to shoot people.
What's your Instagram?
At Annie Cruz. ANNIE CRUZ.
Got Twitter?
At Annie fucking Cruz, and that's ANNIEFUCKIN CRUZ.
I guess we missed this question.
Ooh, okay. Hit me with it.
Well, we don't need that. You already saw the business has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Since when you first started.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it was a lot more fun when you first started, you think?
I feel like I had such a blast when I first came in the business, I mean, obviously I stayed in it for as long as I did, but I had so much fun, and I felt like even the people that I was meeting at the time in that era that I was in were equally as cool, And now I've seen the evolution of the way the business has gone, and like I said, all my friends that are in it or people that I know that are still in it, all they do is complain and how things are different, how everything's on the internet now, and how you have to own your own content. Like back in the day, it was like, hey, you work for other companies and it's great, you get a paycheck and bada bing bada boom. I guess the one thing that's kind of a plus is that if you are making your own content, that's your money to keep for yourself, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's great that people have that, but I feel like people are more stressed out because of that, like, oh, I just need the stability of being able to, like people aren't working like they used, like I was back then. Like I remember working 20 days in a row back in the day and enjoyed it, by the way. It was like by choice. I was like, I like to make jokes. I was a workaholic,
You like sex.
Yeah, so these days you don't hear people saying, they're like, oh, I'm lucky if I can work twice this week,
I heard it's very corporate, and the love is gone. You should have been in the 80s and the 90s.
I would have loved, I was born, I always say how I was born in the wrong era, man. Like, I would have loved to have been part of the porn industry in the 80s, I'll tell you that much.
I got so lucky because it was so mysterious, so hard to get into. But
yeah, it was like, and then there was like a smaller group of people too.
Small,
Now it's like, people will say a name, I'm like, who?
Yeah.
Like,
well, let's face it. The performers in those days, they didn't have any help. With shooting up or Viagra.
Yeah,
or pumps,
absolutely.
or whatever you do to make yourself a great performer.
Yes, absolutely.
But I already talked about that enough before because I'm against that, and Mark Davis was here and he's against it. And anyways, are you watching the debates?
You know what? This whole political thing. I used to be so into politics and. I've just been kind of like blocking my mind out of everything that's been happening in the last, how many years? We're in 2019, last 3 years. So it's just kind of like, I'm like, I'll see what happens in 2020.
It's a weird, all the candidates, everybody's full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, you don't like this guy, but you like this guy, but he's full of shit too.
Yeah.
So.
I get enough from people talking about it on social media. I'm like, do I even need to watch this shit? Like I hear everybody saying their piece, so I'm like, yeah.
Okay, let's go to something more fun.
Okay.
If you could have sex with any celebrity, you're a film person, so maybe it's a film, or a music artist, or I'm guessing you probably met a few of them here and there, somebody's, right? Or a athlete, Who would it be?
That's a good question because like
both men and women.
Oh, both men and women.
You got two choices. You got both. So give me one of each.
This is going to sound very cliche because every woman, when she was in her prime in Hollywood, wanted to fuck her. But Angelina Jolie, the movie Gia, and the fact that she's openly admitted to being into women. So if I could choose what age of Angelina, I wouldn't pick Angelina Jolie now, being the mom, family woman she is. I would pick the Angelina Jolie circa fucking whenever Gia came out. I would totally go back in time and fuck the shit out of her just because she seemed, you know, she's got that mystique to, you know, back, you know, when she was married to Billy Bob and she had that vial of blood that she would wear, you know.
She
like,
was horny.
She was like, I was like, that's like me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I need to fuck this bitch.
She lost her horniness.
What's that?
I think she lost her horniness.
Yeah.
Her sex drive. Something changed.
Yeah.
But I know she was one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen on camera. In Gia.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just to help confirm what you think, there was a girl in the business named Coffee.
Coffee, okay.
She says she hooked up with her way back.
I believe it.
Way back. And I'm not going to say the age, but she hooked up with her.
Oh my
That's what
God.
Coffee told me. And she worked with me a lot of times in my movies. But anyway, so that's good. That's a beautiful girl. Who else for the guy?
For the guys, I don't know who. God, I'm so gay. For the guys, I've never really thought about that. There's so many men in Hollywood that I could be like, I'm curious what he would be like. And
Nobody then.
Can't really think of any.
Oh, that's too bad, guys. You
Sorry,
lost your touch.
guys. I was like, I'd rather have pussy, I guess.
How about young Clint Eastwood?
Oh, young Clint Eastwood. He was sexy.
He was a bad motherfucker.
He was a bad motherfucker. Yeah, I would totally fuck a young Clint Eastwood. I guess we're going back in time here, so.
So, I ask this question a lot because I'm curious about it all the time. You know, if an alien came down, right, they presented themselves in society.
Right. Okay. Like I'm from.
Would you be interested in having sex with them?
Are there different, is there like stipulations involved? Like, am I gonna get some kind of weird,
No,
alien?
you're good.
I'm good?
But it's just, you know, they don't look the same. They look different.
Oh, I'd totally do it just to say I did. Like, alright, how many things you got going on down there?
Yeah, right?
You know?
A couple hands.
Like, oh, you got like 3 dicks? Let's do, you can DP me, let's go. Yeah, I would totally do it.
It'd be trippy, right?
Yeah, it'd be trippy. It'd be trippy.
I would do it
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Oh my god, I love Greek Mediterranean cuisine. So I love like, you know, spinach. I'm vegetarian, so I like a lot of like
really?
foods that, you know, have a lot of veggie dishes. Like I like Indian food. I like a lot of cuisines that a lot of people don't like. So I love Indian food. I love Greek Mediterranean. You know.
That found me. That I'm surprised with that.
And pizza.
Since you like so much meat.
Well, you know what the ongoing joke is when people find out that I'm vegetarian, I'm like, yeah, the only meat I eat is in your pants.
Look at this wonderful dialect. That's unbelievable. What are the future plans of Annie Cruz?
So right now I'm still trying to do more stuff in entertainment. I'm trying to jumpstart my streaming on Twitch again because I stopped streaming like 1.5 years ago, like almost 2 years ago I stopped streaming and people miss me on there, so I kind of want to jump back into that. I'm going to continue to let the creative juices flow and figure out what other cosplay I want to do next because it's like a really big hobby of mine and I love doing it. So as far as what the future holds, I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to do, like I said, do more stuff in entertainment while also doing more creative stuff. I'd like to write a book. I actually spoke to someone about writing a book. I'm just worried that it's just going to be filled with sex, and more sex. So I'm like, how can I make this more interesting where it's not just about my sex lives, my trampages of yesteryear. So I've been working on trying to, you know, get more creative on that regard as well. I used to be I went to school for writing, and I used to write a lot years ago, and I kind of want to get back in touch with my creative side in that end.
Let stuff out.
Let stuff out, yeah, and start writing. So I might. Who knows, maybe I'll come out with a memoir or some sort soon. I don't know, I don't want to promise anything. I just know that I've spoken to someone about it who's helped other people with their books, and he's trying to convince me to do it. I told him, I said, listen, I don't have a sob story to share. I wasn't like abused as a child, you know what I mean? Like a lot of books that you read from people that are former industry, and he was just like, no, that's great, because it'll be different. And I'm like, all right, let's figure out a way to make it interesting, I guess. You know? So as far as that goes, that's pretty much it. I mean, I worked a full-time job. A lot of people don't know.
Right now you work full-time job?
No, not anymore.
Oh.
I've moved forward from that. But for 3 years, I was working a full-time job. I was a manager at a nightclub and was working as a marketing director. Was doing that, doing the whole 9-to-5 thing, and I loved it.
Really?
You know, contrary to what people may think, coming from a world of being independent, you know, and whatever, I actually loved the routine, you know, get up, make some coffee, go to the office, be in charge of people, you know, fire people, and then like, you know, just kind of like I loved it. It's unfortunately the club closed after 15 years, so I ended up leaving. But so now I'm just trying to figure out what other ventures I'm gonna have.
I mean, you're such a strong woman. It's gonna be easy.
I'm gonna try.
Well, my only advice to you and to all people, not that you need my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's hard to stay on the path of something. So when you choose something that you're really gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
stay on that path. But
Yeah.
make sure you're gonna be able to stay on the path.
Mm-hmm.
So before you choose it, understand that the road might be bumpy.
Yeah,
You know?
that's good. That's a good fucking piece of advice right
But
there.
I look forward to seeing you in anything. I can't wait to see you in some movies, regular, Hollywood
Yeah,
mainstream
mhm.
movies. And please let me know when that movie comes out.
I will definitely be in touch for sure.
If you want to come back on here, but you got your own forum, so I don't know, whatever, anytime,
Mm-hmm.
call me or let me know so I can know, so I can watch.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to thank you so much for coming. It was
Thanks for having me.
so nice to see
Catching-
you, really, from the bottom of my heart.
No,
it's so nice to see you.
When I found out that you had a podcast and all this, I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen him in 13 years, like we just confirmed today. So it's great to see you. You're doing very well, and you look great. And we've technically like kind of did some catch up today, So
Yeah.
like it was very nice. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's great.
And I say, when I said it earlier, you really are one of my favorite co-stars or favorite girls in the business of all time.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I mean it. I mean, I love
Thank
her.
you.
So thank you. We're out. TTBoy TV. Annie Cruz, the one and only.
Too sweet.